everyone, welcome to my channel if you are new, or welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. This is going to be episode 2 of my CRP series thing that I'm trying to do. I basically completed the cultural representative program from 18 to 19. I worked in the United Kingdom Pavilion in Epcot. In this video I'm going to be covering should I apply, basically answering all those questions. I get a lot of people ask me about age, about whether they can fit it in a particular time zone, whether it could be like a gap year thing. So the first thing that I do is I go onto the Yummy Jobs website and I just look at the cultural representative program application quota pretty much, and I just go on their eligibility. Obviously if you're from the UK you're going to be using Yummy Jobs. I think with a lot of the Asian countries it's going to be directly through DisneyCareers.com, and I think places like the French Pavilion and Italy have a separate company as well. The eligibility for the UK, according to Yummy Jobs, is you have to be 18 years at the time of the application. So you have to speak fluent conversational English, have no visible tattoos, face, wrist and hand tattoos are not permitted. Saying that, I worked with some people that had like tattoos on the back of their neck. Obviously with the costume, with the girls costume, it is down like this. You can have tattoos here with the girls costume. Your wrist you wouldn't be able to save. I've had some people with ankles and they just wore like longer socks or a plaster over it. There was one guy as well, he had like a full sleeve of tattoos and he just had to wear an undershirt. So I definitely wouldn't discriminate against yourself if you do have tattoos, but I would maybe consider how extreme they are and the positioning of them. Working for Disney, you do have to have that Disney look, so you can't have bright colored hair, you can't have piercings on your face, you have to have that quite natural look, unfortunately. So the first thing I would do is just go onto the website and see what they're looking for, see if you fall into that category. Obviously if you're 15 you're not going to be able to apply yet, but it's really good for you to look at everything on yummyjobs.com and you can get prepared for when you are able to apply. I have a lot of people message me that are like, oh, is this a good thing to do in a gap year between leaving sixth form and going to university? And yes, I do think it is a good thing, but trying to get those dates is really difficult. You can't guarantee that you will have it slap bang in the middle. Also, like for me, I turned 18 in June and then I left sixth form maybe like 2 weeks later. I think I turned 18 after I'd left sixth form maybe. Yeah, so, and it was a whole year later before I actually went out, so you can't really guarantee that it's gonna sit in the middle. You can be given a date from anywhere from January all the way through to November. The only time they don't send people out is December because it's candlelight, it's Christmas, it's too busy. They can't physically merge new people in, but you don't get to choose what date you get essentially. So you could say the earliest I can go out is May because I have commitments before May, but you can't say I want to go out on May 21st. I would definitely consider what you want to spend the next couple of years doing. Like I said, it is a very long process. It took me a whole year from sending my Yummy Jobs application to having 2 interviews, one with Yummy Jobs, one with Disney, before I even got a date. So it is a very, very long process, and I would definitely consider that before you apply. Do you have the commitment to it? Do you have time to do all of these things? If you live in Wales, if you live in Scotland, can you travel to London for all the interviews? Like, these are all things that you really need to consider before you apply. But saying that, if you aren't 100% about it, you can always apply to it and have it in the background and not have your sole focus on it. It doesn't matter, like whatever you feel about it, I would just look at all of the possibilities before you apply. One thing I would also think about is, do I have enough relevant experience? For me, I applied 3 times and got absolutely nowhere. At the time I'd worked for the company for 2.5, nearly 3 years. I got nowhere. I then went out and got some food and beverage experience and I got an interview straight away. So maybe consider if you have enough relevant experience, if you have enough merchandise, enough food and beverage experience. You need to work out what they are looking for, and in this case they are looking for food and beverage and merchandise experience. Another thing you need to think about as well is you will be living abroad in the States for a whole year. This is something they probably will ask you in the interview, like how comfortable are you living that far away from home? How comfortable are you living with other people from different countries, sharing a bedroom, perhaps even sharing bunk beds? with me, I had 3 people sharing 1 bathroom, so you do have to compromise a lot of your living space that you are probably used to having at home. But for me, I didn't spend a lot of time in my apartment, so it was okay. I didn't mind sacrificing that comfortableness, but comfortableness is a word. Living abroad is a different experience. Living in the States is a completely different way of life, different culture to how it is in the UK, and that is something to consider as well. Even silly things like food shopping is more difficult. But saying this, you know, I wouldn't have changed any of my experience for the world. It's just something to really think about, like, can I actually live in a whole different country for a whole year? I'd been to the US before and I love the way of life and the culture and stuff, but if you've never been before, it might be a culture shock. So that's definitely something to be aware of when you're thinking about applying as well. I have quite a few people message me and ask about long distance relationships, that they're really concerned that they're going to be leaving their boyfriend or girlfriend at home and how to cope with that. I don't think there is any way to cope with that. It is difficult. It is something that I found really difficult when I had to do my program and Daniel left and went home. There is no advice I feel like I can definitely give you in stone to get through it, but I just think communicate a lot and FaceTime as often as you can, send pictures and stuff of what you're doing and vice versa. But I definitely don't think you should not apply because of your relationship. I don't think you should hold yourself back because you're concerned about your relationship. Another thing people question me a lot about is money and how I managed to afford the program, basically. And I got my date for my program in the November, and then I went out the June, so I had like a solid 7-8 months to save enough money for the program. I basically just worked as much as I could, saved as much money as I could in advance, because I knew that when I got there I wanted to be able to do as many things as I possibly could. And I'm so glad I did that, because when I was on podium, your pay isn't as good as when you're in the kitchen. So I was able to afford to do all these awesome things. I did staycays, I bought ears if I wanted them, I bought merchandise, I went out for dinner. And if you don't have that money saved, you don't have that freedom to do that. But saying that, you can go out there with minimal money and still have a good time. Like, it doesn't matter. But I definitely recommend saving as much as you can and taking a lot of stuff with you. So I took a lot of like bedding, tea towels, socks, stuff like that. So when I got there, I didn't have to go out to Walmart and buy all these things because I already had them. But I don't think you need money to have a good time on your program. I just personally knew that from my previous experiences in Florida, there would be things I wanted to do and experience. So that's why I saved the money in advance. I was very lucky and fortunate that I was able to do that. So don't put yourself off applying if you feel like you're not going to be able to afford it, because that's definitely not going to be the case. Obviously you do need to factor things in like paying for your flight, your insurance. Obviously the youngest you can apply is 18. They absolutely do not waiver on that. That is going to be like a legal thing, probably to do with like serving alcohol, stuff like that. But there's absolutely no age limit. I get a lot of people message me like, I'm mid-20s, I'm so nervous, like I'm going to be really old. And the facts are, I was one of the youngest people there by a mile. Majority of the people are like between 24 to 28. There's people over 30, there was people under 20 my age, there's people 26, like the variance is so much. There's such a good variety of ages and people just get on and we all just act like we're the same age. You wouldn't even know that everyone is different ages. You'd have no idea. So definitely don't be put off applying if you are older, if you are younger. When I wasn't being successful, I was concerned that it was my age I wasn't getting through off, but I realised it was the food and beverage experience, so don't be put off by your age for sure. If you are feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit dubious about applying, if you are at university, I would maybe suggest applying for the summer program first. That way it's only for 2-3 months and you can get a feel of what the program is like, what it's like to live with other people, the bus system, living at housing, being at the parks all the time. Some people do think they can handle it and then they have a shock when they're there and they're like, oh god, I don't even know what to do with myself. But if you do the summer program first, that way you get a feel for everything and you can really understand what it's like to live there and to live with other people in the program and stuff. general, it is a super long application process, like I said earlier, so I would say just go for it. You can always have it in the background, and if it's not your sole focus, you can almost forget about it and focus on it when it comes to it. I don't think it needs to be your sole focus all the time. If it's something you're really committed to and it's something you really want, then 100% put your whole heart into it. But you know, just have it in the background. Why not? I feel like everybody should apply, and then you can work out what you want from the outcome. So if you get a yes, you'll be like, okay, maybe this is what I need to do. If you get a no, you either try again, or in your head you're like, you know what, I don't think I actually want it that much anyway. So I think applying is a really good way to work out what you want and what is best for you. That is pretty much gonna conclude this video of should I apply for the CRP. I hope it was helpful. I feel like I'm still trying to like set the tone of these videos of all the things that I want to cover. But if you have any other suggestions, please let me know down in the comments, and make sure you follow me on Instagram. It's just going to be @EllieBrown. I post a lot of other stuff over there. You can send me messages, whatever. I will probably reply. Try my best to. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.